Qualified production property. So this has gotten a lot of attention since the bill's been rolled out. And I'll go ahead and say it. Yes, it's true. You can expense a manufacturing building. As crazy as that sounds, prior to this, it would have been a 39-year life, but this provision would allow you to expense it 100%, just the way bonus depreciation works. Now, as with every tax law, there's caveats to it. You got to look under the surface. So I'm going to touch on a couple of these caveats. But first of all, what am I talking about? So they've deemed the term qualified production property and qualified production activities, but ultimately that's a fancy way of describing manufacturing. So qualified production property is tangible property, and if you were doing a qualified production activity in this facility, which is transforming materials or property into an ultimate product, i.e. manufacturing, then the facility that's integral to that is going to qualify for bonus. Now, you'll see on here that the facility needs to be placed in service prior to 1/1/2031, and even more than that, you need to have started construction after 1/19/25, but before 1/1/29. So there's some dates on when you can do construction on this, and they're going to look, just like as with bonus, they're going to look at when the binding contract was put in place. But some caveats to this, because I know it sounds too good to be true, and so there's some catches. Now, it's interesting, food and beverage, the restaurant industry was specifically carved out of this, because you could see how a restaurant might say, well, I'm taking ingredients and materials and I'm making food into property, almost like a manufacturer, and selling it in that establishment. And that has actually been carved out if you're selling it in that retail establishment. Another question that might pop up is if you are a lessor of one of these buildings, you really don't get the benefit of this deduction. And let me explain. So if you own the manufacturing building and you are leasing it as a landlord to a tenant that is the manufacturing business, and they're doing their qualified production activity in your facility, that property that they're producing doesn't translate to the lessor. So the lessor does not get the benefit to 100% bonus that facility just by virtue of the lessee doing the manufacturing. Couple other things. It requires the manufacturing process or qualified production activity to commence original use with the taxpayer. So it can't have been previously a manufacturing facility that you take on, and it's got to have started with the taxpayer. And what's interesting is they put in place in the bill a 10-year recapture rule. So if you place this property in service, take the bonus depreciation on it, and then within a 10-year period, if you stop that qualified production activity, the law is going to make you recapture a lot of that depreciation you took as ordinary income. So just be mindful, if this is a strategy you're going after, it would be good to be committed to this activity for a 10-year period at least.
Right, and I think this is really, the goal was to incentivize manufacturers to build plants in the United States. And so I think that it really does do that, but it is something, if you are looking at doing this, talk to an advisor before you just start doing it to make sure that you do all the things right in order to get this benefit.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing the ripple effect this will have in the economy. I work with a lot of contractors that build these facilities, so you would expect their pipeline of work to really bulk up given all this incentive. So.